Hey everybody, so bad news for free speech. Elon Musk is withdrawing from the Twitter deal. It looks like Twitter's lying about the number of bots they have. What gave Twitter away, I wonder? Was it the idea that Brian Stelter actually has 800,000 followers? Yeah, I think we hit peak bullshit with that one. So Joe just awarded some medals of freedom, only he put it on the guy backwards. Congratulations on winning the neck brace of freedom.
The whole world, including the United States and the UK, are just worn out and tired by this outbreak. It isn't over yet.
You gotta give Fauci credit, he's just not a quitter.
Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
And Joe's not stopping either.
We don't just need more money for vaccines for children eventually. We need more money to plan for the second pandemic. There's going to be another pandemic.
Well, that's good news for Pfizer anyway. These Pfizer boosters are kind of like Fast and Furious sequels. They're completely unnecessary, they're not very good, it's all just a money grab, and you can be sure that somewhere along the line something's going to explode. Well, I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I meant Liberal World Order Day. That seems to be how the elites want it. Sadly, we didn't have fireworks at Mount Rushmore. Did we give all our fireworks to Ukraine? I mean, they are the priority. Biden's economic advisor said so.
Well, what do you say to those families who say, listen, we can't afford to pay $4.85 a gallon for months, if not years?
This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm.
The new world order or new liberal order, whatever the band is calling itself these days, they really should call themselves the anti-nations people. They really don't care how many ants get burned under their magnifying glass. How long do Americans need to suffer, Joe?
As long as it takes, so Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine and move beyond Ukraine.
We need to accept the Ukraine pain to stand strong against Russia. And it's working too. I mean, look at the Russian currency. It is falling on its ass. Next time Putin wants to fight, he's going to think
Because of Putin's tax hike?
I wonder how America would feel if everybody just started calling it the Zelensky price hike. Since inflation happened the minute Joe took office, the Ukraine situation is largely just an excuse. But even as excuses go, it's particularly offensive. It's offensive because it strongly implies that it was unavoidable, and that international situations are more important than the national ones. The assumption is we just have to take a bullet for Ukraine. We need to send them our dollars, and most importantly, our celebrities. I swear, if I see another celebrity visiting Ukraine like they're going to Comic-Con, I might have to go over and attack Zelensky myself. And now we're in a recession. Is it a Zelensky or Putin recession? I'm not sure. It's weird to be in a recession, isn't it? Joe's been telling us over and over again that he's the jobsiest president ever. You have the Dutch farmer situation. Yet another episode where the poor peasants need to make way for the elitist agenda. Somehow they're upset about the government wanting to put them out of business or something.
The Dutch government unveiled its goals on Friday to mandate reductions of up to 70% in many places and as high as 95% in others to protect nature.
Silly, selfish farmers, what a bunch of anti-government kooks. Don't they understand this is to save the planet?
And the Netherlands is the second largest agricultural exporter in the world after the United States.
That's kind of an important detail. Sounds like there might be some ramifications to imposing all this, huh? The farmer protest looks a lot like the Canadian trucker protests. I'm sure Justin Trudeau thinks the Dutch farmers are white supremacists too. But you know, we can't be sure about that until we see some bouncy castles. I don't know if you're aware of this, but bouncy castles happen to be the dead giveaway for white supremacy these days. And I'm pretty sure the Southern Poverty Law Center backs me up on that. The Dutch feds got busted trying to infiltrate the farmers. Feds is how you say Patriot Front in Dutch. As July 4th seems to be creeping towards Liberal World Order Day, leftist globalist elites are like a three-headed monster when it comes to their attacks. First, there's a ton of greater goodism going on. Wear your mask, close your school, keep your distance, limit your travel, take your shots. And now it's the Green New Deal panic. Kill your cows, consume less. Also take the Ukraine pain, stand together. Make do with less, pay more for less, maybe lose our livelihood. But not to worry. All of this masochistic agenda is for something larger than ourselves. The global priority people have spoken. Oh, and it's always also an emergency, because decisions are always best made quickly and under duress. Otherwise, you might ask a lot of questions, or notice who's profiting, or catch some major hypocrisies. That's a big no-no. You see, it's best to concentrate on some global existential threat, so you don't notice the existential personal threats. The second level of attack is you can't prioritize the world if you persist in prioritizing your country. That's why national pride has to be trashed. A great way to accomplish that is guilt. And in full disclosure, no one is arguing that guilt of previous generations are not to be fully discussed. They are. I'm speaking of guilt as a weapon of mass destruction, the kind that actually can be found. If you remember the Trump Fine People hoax, where the media conveniently left this part out.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
With the back and forth of a very hostile media, Trump made a critical point.
How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him?
I do love
Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner.
The answer is yes, they are. The media pretended at the time that this was a ridiculous idea, but this is precisely what they had in mind. A year later in New York, 187 years of history? See ya. You don't have to physically tear down Jefferson's statue and the Founding Fathers. You can do it figuratively. NPR had a nice 3-decade tradition of reading the Declaration of Independence. In 2021, they started giving trigger warnings about that. And this year, they ended it altogether. Next year, they'll start the new tradition of reading Das Kapital. All that's required to know about history these days is that it was old white men. They won't be happy until Mount Rushmore's faces are replaced with Jussie, the Native American lunatic who banged the drum in front of Nick Sandmann. You gotta throw in Zelensky, and why not just throw in Liz Cheney for bipartisanship? But you know that wouldn't be enough for the perpetually offended left. You need Leah Thomas, Elizabeth Warren, Kaepernick. It's gotta be like the pride flag. Every permutation is needed or it's hereby offensive. It's a little ironic that the globalists of today refuse to look at global history. Because if they did, they'd see slavery all over the place. They would see every crime and atrocity performed by every color, especially onto their own color. But instead we must attack the Western white guy, who came from the 1700s, which had a lot of backward ideas that they weren't entirely immune from. And neither was anybody else. But they also happened to forge the best system of government ever conceived, which would allow us to fix all the immoral backwardness. But it is true they probably wouldn't respect your pronouns. The last level of attack is this. If I can succeed in making you condemn America's heritage out of hand, if I can basically Nazify history, now it becomes pretty easy to slur and dismiss anyone who defends it. If it's all about race, misogyny, LGBTQ+ rights, there's always a built-in discomfort for anybody speaking up for America's past. If I defend Thomas Jefferson, there's almost a drum roll of suspense. Is this guy going to excuse racism and slavery? That's why the left media plays up the Patriot Front. You know, the U-Haul clan. I think they're feds or compromised by feds. As I've said before, to me they're the Ray Epps community theater players. These Klansmen, sponsored by Dockers, are pretty physically fit for the typical supremacist, don't you think? Here they are doing their PSYOP cameo march in Boston, before heading over to the holiday CIA FBI softball game and cookout. The Patriot Front will not show up at a Trump rally, because if they did, they'd get their asses kicked. This is a sharp contrast to Antifa, who are not condemned. Their violence is ignored. The media is very hot to tell you that the Patriot Front is the opposition. This World War II hero, this guy is the opposition.
Telling everybody that everything was beautiful every day. And people don't realize what they have, that the things we did and the things we fought for and the boys that died for it, it's all gone down the drain. Our country's gone to hell. That's not what they died for.
Do you think the leftist mainstream media types would like to interview him? Not likely. Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. Be sure to pass around to anybody who might like my content. And I'll see you the next time.